everybody. I'm Joe Prozit and I write short stories. You can find some of my work in No Sleep Podcast, Meet Us Pod, Metamorphosis Magazine, and in Lava's very own Storyville Projects. And if you're thirsty for more, I have a short story collection of 16 stories that's available through my website and on Amazon. Check that out if you want to. So today I'm going to be talking about short stories, but also about scenes and flash fiction. So let's get right into it. Often when I see other writers attempt at short stories, it comes off as a scene in a larger story. And often when I attempt flash fiction, or when I read others' attempts at flash fiction, it comes off as a condensed short story. So what's the difference? Well, first let's talk about what's similar. All three center around a character's arc. A character's arc is how your protagonist changes or refuses to change over the course of the story. It's sometimes called the internal conflict or the B story, and it's central to any decent story. Examples include Macbeth from Shakespeare's Macbeth, Bilbo Baggins, Frodo Baggins, Roland of Stephen King's Dark Tower series, Randall Thorne, and any of the Aes Sedai from the Wheel of Time series, Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games. Let's see, who else? Arya and Sansa Stark from A Song of Fire and Ice, Tony Stark from the MCU, Rick from Casablanca, Ellen Ripley from Aliens, Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender has an amazing arc. Even Steve Harrington from Stranger Things has a great arc. Think of any iconic character that stands out to you and think about how they change from the beginning of the story and who they are at the end of the story. That's a character's arc. All right, so back to scenes, short stories, and flash fiction. If they all center around character arc, then what's the difference? So a scene is part of a larger story. It has no definitive length, and you can have scenes inside of scenes even. Essentially, anytime you build tension and then you release, or you set something up and you pay it off, that's a scene. So speaking of tension and release and payoffs, Alfred Hitchcock described suspense once as a scene where two individuals are talking at a table and there's a bomb underneath the table. If neither of the characters nor the reader knows that there's a bomb there, the bomb goes off, we have a short moment of surprise, but no suspense. Now, if the reader knows that there's a bomb under the table, or one of the two individuals, but not both of the people at the table know there's a bomb there, now we have suspense. And we have this weight and this eagerness and this tension that creates suspense in a scene. But by the end of the scene, the bomb has to go off. Another great technique for developing a scene is the yes, but, and no, and technique. This is something made popular by Mary Robinette Kowal. And essentially what you need to do is ask yourself a question. And the question is essentially, is my character going to achieve their goal in this one scene? And the answer is always yes, but by achieving the goal, it didn't solve the problem. Or are they going to reach their goal? No, and now their problem's even bigger. Another way to think about scenes is cause and effect. An event happens and there's a cause and it has an effect. And because of that event, your character is impacted. There's a why does it matter that this event happened? And then what does your character realize about themselves because of this event? And I really like this because it's they're pushed on to the next scene. They're propelled in the next event, and one scene leads to the next, and the next is unavoidable and inevitable. So each scene pushes your character towards completing their arc, but they don't complete it. And they might be pushed further away from their arc. They might be pushed closer towards it, but they're affected. And there's a setup and there's a payoff. There's tension and release. So if that's a scene, what's flash fiction? Well, definitively, it's limited in word count, usually below 1,000 words. By the end, the reader does have a fairly good idea of how the rest of that protagonist's life is going to end up, but you might not have an obvious character arc. It might be more suggested. And one technique that I found kind of works for flash fiction is to think of it in joke structure. You have a setup, and in that setup you allude to obvious expectations, and then by the end of it you subvert and you surprise your audience by showing them the opposite of those expectations. For example, the old joke, me and my wife have been happy for 20 years. Now, the expectation is we're a loving couple and we've kind of figured out this whole marriage thing, and we have experience, we understand. That's the setup, that's the expectation. And then the punchline is, me and my wife have been happy for 20 years, and then we met. Now, it doesn't have to be funny, but it should subvert, it should surprise, or it should confirm some truth we were told at the beginning, but then led to believe otherwise in the middle, just to be found true again at the end. And that's essentially flash fiction. All right, so I could talk to you all day about flash fiction, but the cool thing about flash fiction is it's super short, and you can find it on the internet for free. So instead of listening to me, you can just read flash fiction and figure it out for yourself. Here's 3 recommendations I got for you. The first one is called Taylor Swift by Stephen Elmond. And then the second is Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. And then probably my favorite is a flash fiction called They're Made Out of Meat by Terry Bison. All 3 are excellent, and you can read all 3 in less than 5 minutes. So now we've talked about scenes and we've talked about flash fiction. Let's talk about short stories. Short stories are not just a short novel. They're not a scene, and they're slightly different than flash fiction in that they have a beginning, middle, and end, and a complete character arc by the time you're done. For structure, I've kind of developed my own that I like to use, a 5-point beat sheet that goes hook, hold, heart, surprise, and satisfy. And I'll talk about each one of those, what they kind of mean here. So your hook is really just something to get your readers to the second paragraph. You've probably gone into a bookstore and picked up the front page of the book, read the first sentence, and set it back down. The hook is to stop people from doing that and get to read a little further. The hold is the conflict. That's your A story. That's the thing that needs to move in the world around your heroes to make a story. So it might be a MacGuffin like the Maltese hamster, or the plans for the Death Star, or stolen diamonds, whatever it is. It's your conflict. By the time you get through the conflict, your reader should have an understanding of who the good guy is, what they're trying to accomplish, and what's in their way. Now let's talk about the heart. This is really where your character's arc is explored and fleshed out. Every story has 2 plots. One is the A plot, the external plot, the thing that needs to change about the world around your character. And then there's the B plot, or the internal conflict. And that's the thing that needs to change inside of your character that allows them, that empowers them to overcome the forces of keeping them from their A plot, their external goals. All right, now that your protagonist has a grasp on their internal conflict and they're working towards completing that character arc, we hit our surprise beat. That's where the flow of the story changes. If things have been going poorly for your protagonist, they turn around positively. If things have been going well for your character already, they have that surprise and suddenly their world's falling apart. Everything changes now based on whether or not they're able to complete that arc. And then the last beat of the short story is the satisfy scene. That is where you give your character the ending that they've earned by whether or not they've completed their arc, whether they've failed to. It doesn't have to be a happy ending, just the one that they deserve. But it's the single effect. It's everything that your short story has been aiming for. Give the reader what they want or exactly what they don't want, whether it's trophies or tragedies, punch them on the gut or kiss them in the heart, and leave your readers feeling satisfied. And that's about all I got for you. I hope this helped you understand scenes, flash fiction, and short stories. Each is really their own unique art form, and developing and working on each can improve your overall skill and craft as a writer. So I encourage you guys to go out, give it a shot. Even if you've never read flash fiction before, even if you've never thought about individual scenes as those building blocks to a larger novel or novella, or if you've never attempted a short story, give it a shot. It's going to make the other parts of your writing stronger and better. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have with readers. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya.